Hello students, I am Anita Jaume Thomas from the Department of Management working as Assistant Professor with the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Welcome to today's video session on the Consumer Protection Act 1986, also known as COPRA. So let's quickly go through the introduction element of CPA or COPRA. It is an act of Parliament which is enacted in the year 1986 to protect the interest of the consumers in India with an aim to promote and protect the economic interest of the consumers. It provides for the establishment of consumer protection councils at center, state and district levels to promote and protect the rights of the consumer. It has set up a three-tier quasi-judicial machinery to deal with consumers' grievances and disputes, namely District Forum, State Commission and National Commission. It is also applicable to all types of goods and services. It covers all the different sectors in the economy, say private, public or including any persons. And it was lastly amended in 2019. Now, let's understand what are the basic rights given to the consumers by this act. The first right is right to safety. As it is said, right to safety, we mean it is a right for the consumer to be protected against the marketing of goods and services which are hazardous to life and property. This is that right whereby a consumer has the right to be informed about the quality, the quantity, potency, purity, standard and price of goods as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices. The third right is right to be assured. Now, what does this mean? Wherever possible, the consumer will have an access to variety of goods at competitive prices. The next right is right to be heard. The right to be heard means here the consumers are assured that their complaints or their issues will receive due consideration at appropriate forum. This ensures the customers or consumers to come forward without any fear, file the complaint, raise their voice against any products or services. The fifth right is known as the right to redressal. That means it is a right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or unscrupulous exploitation of consumers. For this very reason, we have the three, we generally say it's a quasi-judicial system which has been created, three-tier, that is the District Forum, State Commission and the National Commission, basically to seek the redressal element. The last one is known as right to education. This ensures that the customers or consumers in the country have easy access to informational programs and materials to help them with a better decision when availing any kind of services via any platform. Now, let's see some of the important definitions under the Act. The first one we are going to see is appropriate laboratory, section 2(1), subsection 1, or we generally say section 2(1). A laboratory which is recognized by the central government or it could be recognized by the state government subject to the guidelines prescribed by the central government in this behalf, or any such laboratory or organization established by or under any law for the time being in force, which is maintained, financed or aided by the central government or state government for carrying out any analysis or test of any good. So, simply let us know what is this particular definition saying about appropriate laboratory. It is an organization, it could be any laboratory which is set up by the state or the central government for the purpose of testing the goods to know where the fault has appeared. The next definition which we are going to look at is known as person. Section 2(m) of this Act defines person, or person includes a firm, whether it is registered or not, a Hindu undivided family or a cooperative society, or any other association of persons which is registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860. The next definition we are moving on to is deficiency, that is section 2G. Now, deficiency means any fault, imperfection, shortcoming or inadequacy in quality, nature and any manner of performance which is required to be maintained by or under any law for the time being in force or has been undertaken to perform by a person in pursuance of a contract or whether in relation to any service. Now, deficiency can be in relation to a service. Okay, now when we say in relation to service, that means say you are taking some service from some telecommunication sector. Many a times what happens is that your call keeps on getting dropped. So that means you are definitely not satisfied. So you can term such kind of services as deficiency in service. So it is basically related to the service which you are getting from a particular say a firm or maybe an organization, telecommunication organizations, etc. It could be any of this kind. The next element is defect. Now remember, if deficiency is related to service, then defect will be related to goods. Okay, so defect, section 2F means any fault, imperfection or shortcoming in quality, quantity, potency, purity or standard which is required to be maintained by or under any law for the time being in force or under any contract expressed or implied or as is claimed by the trader in any manner whatsoever in relation to any goods. So once again, as I said, this defect element is related to goods, deficiency in relation to service. Now, let's move on to the next definition as per the law. This is consumer, little slightly longer kind of a definition. So, if you want to know the gist, it basically means buys any goods for a consideration which has been paid or promised, or partly paid and partly promised, or under any system of deferred payment and includes any user of such goods other than the person who buys such goods for consideration, paid or promised or partly paid or partly promised, or under any system of deferred payment which or when such use is made with the approval of such a person but does not include a person who obtains such goods for resale for any commercial purpose. The next one is the second point related to the consumer. Now, in this case, the consumer will hire or avail any services for the same consideration which has been partly paid, promised, or partly paid and partly promised, or under any system of deferred payment and includes any beneficiary of service. Now, here there is a difference. Like for example, I may take a SIM in my name. It could be used by any family member of mine. That means the beneficiary would be some other person instead of me being the beneficiary. So it's possible in this case. Okay, so any beneficiary of such services other than the person who hires or avails the service for consideration, paid or promised, or partly paid or promised, or under any system of deferred payment when such services are availed with the approval of the first mentioned person, but does not include a person who avails such services for any commercial purpose. Now, as I said, I am taking a SIM from the telecommunication sector. Instead of me, somebody else is using it in my family. Possible, but there is an approval from me for that. Whereas, if I use the same SIM and I sell it to somebody else, then it is a commercial service. So that means I'm using that particular SIM instead of my own purpose, I'm using it for somebody else, or I'm selling it to somebody else. So it is basically used for a commercial purpose. So such thing is not permitted under the Act. It's necessary that the consumer uses the good or avails the services. If availing the services, the beneficiary can also avail it, okay, provided the first party gives the approval for it. Now, The next definition which we are going to take care of is a consumer dispute, which is given under section 2E. Dispute means a dispute where a person against whom the complaint has been made denies or disputes the allegations contained in the complaint. This means basically when I am at dispute, quite naturally I will always deny what has been raised or allegations which are raised against me. So consumer's dispute is nothing but a dispute where the person against whom the complaint has been made denies or disputes the allegations contained in the complaint. The next definition which we are going to take care of is complainant. Now, we just now said dispute. In dispute, we have mentioned something called as complaint. Now, who forwards this complaint? Quite naturally, it's a complainant. So, let's know who a complainant is. Complainant means a consumer or any voluntary association registered under the Companies Act 1956 or under any act which is there or which is present in force, or you can say time being in force, or the central government or the state government, or one or more consumers having similar interest, or in case of death of a consumer, his legal hire or a representative. The next definition we are going to take care of is known as goods. I'm not going to explain this definition because we have already gone through a video on Sales of Goods Act. So it is definitely similar as to that. In short, goods is as defined or mentioned under Sales of Goods Act 1930. So moving on to the next definition, we are going to services. Services is given as per section 2O. Now, services means and includes banking, financing, insurance, transport, processing, supply of electric energy, board or lodging, or both, entertainment, amusement, or other information. The next or the last definition which we are going to take care of is known as spurious goods. This is given under section 2OO. This means there are several goods which are not exactly genuine. Okay, so what is this spurious goods? Means such goods and services which are claimed to be genuine but they are not actually so. Now, after these definitions, let's understand the Consumer Protection Councils. Now remember that Consumer Protection Councils are basically established again under 3 different levels. We go one by one for it. The first one we are going to take care of is District Protection Council, which is established under section 8A by the state government. And remember, the state government will establish a District Protection Council through the publication, or you can say notification in the official gazette. Now, this District Consumer Protection Council will have following members. Number 1, the district collector will be the chairman. Number 2, any such number of official and non-official members having or representing a similar interest, and they are appointed by the state government. And when it comes to the central level, basically it will be taken care by the central government. Now, since it is a District Protection Council, it will be taken care by the state government only. So you should not get confused with this element. Now remember, this district council shall meet twice in a year, and at any such a place, or you can say such place or time which the chairman finds it to be suitable. Now let's move on to the next Consumer Protection Council. This is at the state level. It is established under section 7, and the state government will issue a notification in the official gazette, okay, and they will establish the State Consumer Protection Council. Now the composition. Now let's understand who are the members under the State Council, or you can say Consumer Protection Council, SPC. So under this, the first person, the chairman, will be none other than Minister in charge of Consumer Affairs. and any such number of officials or non-official members representing such interest which is prescribed by the state, and also any such number of officials or non-officials not exceeding 10 members. Now, this is a little mandation which is required by the central government. That is, the central government will appoint 10 members along with the state government members. The state government, or you can say the state government, ensures that the SPC conducts its meeting twice in a year and again at any place and time which the chairman feels it to be fit. The last Consumer Protection Council is none other than the Central Consumer Protection Council, which is established under Section 4. Again, the central government will notify through the official gazette regarding the establishment of such council. Now, the composition. It will be consisting of a chairman who is minister in charge of consumer affairs in the central government. That is, this is at the central level. And any such number of members, you can say official or non-official members, having such interest as may be prescribed by the central government. Okay, and remember, the meeting for your CPC, Central Protection Council, will be held once in every year and at any time and place which the chairman may think fit and appropriate. Okay, so this was the few important elements of Consumer Protection Act, but we are moving on to another important area. We are talking about three-tier quasi-judicial consumer disputes redressal machinery. So the first redressal machinery is the district forum. So forum established by the state government through the notification under Section 9A of Consumer Protection Act is known as district forum. Now, let's understand the composition of district forum. It shall be consisting of a person who is a qualified district judge, and that person will be considered as the president. Number 2, along with this judge, or you can say president, we have 2 or more members. Basically, since it's a district forum, we have 2 members. One of them is required to be a woman, or one of them shall be a woman. And these people are required to have the following qualifications. Number 1, they should not be less than 35 years of age. They must possess a bachelor's degree from recognized university, and the persons or these persons are required to be of ability, integrity and standing, and have adequate knowledge and experience of at least 10 years in dealing with problems relating to economics, law, commerce, accountancy, industry, public affairs or administration. Now, these qualifications remains constant for all, that is your state commission, for your national commission as well. Now, the term of office of your district forum members. Every member of the district forum can hold the office term for 5 years, and that is also up to the age of 65, whichever falls earlier. And all the members are eligible for reappointment for the term of another 5 years. Now remember about the jurisdiction. Now jurisdiction, when we talk about, they have certain limit. That is, they are going to entertain the complaints up to, or you can say the amount which does not exceed 20 lakh of rupees. And if the aggrieved party is not satisfied with the judgment of the district forum, then they can appeal to the state commission within 30 days from the date of the order given by the district forum. Now, the second machinery, that is the state commission. The Consumer Redressal Forum, established by the state government through the notification under Section 9B of the Act, will be known as the State Commission. Its composition: the president shall be a person who is a judge of a high court, appointed by the state government, and 2 other members, one of them shall be a woman. The qualification, as I said previously, it remains the same. Now the term of office, again the term of office for all the members shall be of 5 years, and it shall be up to the age of 67, whichever is earlier, and all the members are eligible for reappointment for the term of 5 years. Now the jurisdiction. Now, as we said about the district forum, they are going to take care of the complaints up to 20 lakhs. The state commission will be taking care of all those complaints which move beyond 20 lakhs up to 1 crore of rupees. And if any party is aggrieved and or you can say not satisfied with the order given by the district forum, or you can say here when we said about the district forum, we said if not satisfied with the district forum, we are supposed to go and file the case with the state commission. Now not satisfied with the state commission, quite naturally you will be moving on to the national commission within 30 days from the date of the order. Now not the last, neither the least one, that is the national commission. The CDRF, that is Consumer Dispute Redressal Forum, established by the central government through the notification under section 9C of the Act, is known as the National Commission. Now when we talk about its composition, okay, now here the president shall be none other than the judge of the Supreme Court appointed by the central government in consultation with the CJI, Chief Justice of India. And here the number of members, that is not less than 4 members along with the president, and one of them is required to be a woman, and their qualification remains the same. Term of office, now here the National Commission, when we talk about the term of office, is again 5 years but up to the age of 70. Now whichever is earlier, as we know, and shall be, that is these members can be eligible for reappointment for another term of 5 years. Moving on to the jurisdiction of National Commission, it's very simple. If the previous one, that is the state commission, was up to 1 crore, the National Commission will be entertaining all the complaints which move beyond 1 crore, that is claims exceeding rupees 1 crore. In case if any party is aggrieved and not satisfied with the judgment, then they can make an appeal to the Supreme Court within a period of 30 days from the order. So this was Consumer Protection Act in a nutshell. So stay tuned for our more videos. Thank you.